I'm Jill Schlesinger, editor-at-large.
And I'm Ray Martin, special contributor.
In Reality Check, today is the one-year anniversary of Bernie Madoff's arrest. What have we learned? Well, Ray, just a year ago, he gets carried off in handcuffs. What have investors learned from that experience?
Well, I think people have learned how to be anxious and less trusting of their financial advisors or the financial services industry as a whole. I mean, you think about this scam that was perpetrated for years. This person, well trusted by so many people, created basically false statements and was just running a giant Ponzi scheme with billions of dollars and was in with regulators and was investigated by regulators who never picked up on a thing.
Do you think that people know
story.
the right questions to ask? In other words, do you think that even today, a year after Madoff, people are still asking their advisor or their brokers the right questions to avoid this kind of scam?
Well, I haven't interviewed every investor out there in the country to find out the
they were
question
all
of
your
that.
clients. What do you mean?
But I will tell you that given the evidence out there of just Ponzi scheme after Ponzi scheme that seems to be uncovered that you read in the paper, clearly there's still a lot of those out there and people don't realize, and people need to know.
Well, what are some of the signs?
Well, clearly when you put your money with an investment manager and then they run their own statements for you, and you don't get any statements from a major financial institution, and you don't have any way to really check that. I mean, that's a huge red flag, wouldn't you think?
It's funny. I saw a Madoff statement after the arrest.
So did I. I saw them before. I saw them several years ago, by the way.
And what was interesting is I felt like my nephew could have done it on the computer and probably a nicer looking statement. I mean,
well,
and there were things on those statements that just made no sense.
Yeah. Well, then those schemes are old as the hills.
So what's the question that you ask? You say you want to know that, number one, who's running the money?
Well, first you should have your accounts directly with a financial institution that you can call, that you can visit, that's a major institution, and that is all printed on their stationery, their statement forms and paper, as opposed to having something custom done by a boutique financial firm. And that's really where the trouble begins. Second, you should also know every holding in your account and what's going on. Just don't turn a blind faith over to an advisor. You should know what you own. You should be able to sit down with somebody and walk through that.
And I think that the idea that people were just making money every single month in a row, I think that's huge.
You've uncovered another red flag is, if you're in stocks and with your manager and the stock market is going down broadly and you're not, you're levitating and rising all the time. It could happen once in a while, but somebody's not going to be lucky all the time and be that good eventually. So you should see generally your account affected by the major moves in the market up and down. And I think people weren't paying attention to that. And they were just saying, hey, this guy makes 10% all the time, steady as sunshine and rain. So, we trust that. And that's the problem right there, too. When it's too good to be true, I mean, it's cliche, but it definitely is something to look out for.
Well, I think that that's the way that we need to end it. So the way that we prevent you from getting Madoffed is that you ask questions, have a healthy dose of cynicism, don't expect consistent returns because markets are not consistent, and ask lots of questions.
And I'll give you one more. Don't keep everything all in one financial institution either. You should have your risks spread out. So you have different financial institutions running accounts for you so you can get a sense of what one firm is doing and what another and compare the two.
And that's your reality check.